Hey, hi guys. I hope you all doing well. Welcome to the Ugaman show. Now, I know many of you may have been following me. Many of you have been on this platform for a very, very long time. And like I promised you a few days ago, that we'll be going into the series looking at different things that I think we need to be paying attention to. Today, I want to talk about the education system and why it is very important for us as a country to pay attention to how we can be able to reform this education system. First and foremost, let me introduce myself fully for those of you watching me for the very first time to understand who I am. My name is Mwebia Fred, also known as Ugaman. I am a graduate of Bachelor's of Science in Finance, and I do pay a lot of close attention to research and finance. But I'm also a very passionate individual when it comes to leadership, socio-economic welfare, and of course, digital marketing. So for many of you, you may have known me in that space of digital marketing. Probably we've been in the same conferences where maybe I've been presenting or I've been teaching, and probably we've also met each other at conferences like forex trading and e-commerce and all these things. But today I want to pay close attention to the education system that we have currently. So I want to go back to the basics and let you know, and everyone watching this video, this is episode 1, by the way. So welcome to episode 1, where we're talking about education. We will talk about many other spheres of life, and definitely I'll also have many other engagements as regards this conversation. Now, let's go back to what education really is and what it's meant to do. So the word education comes from a word to educe. To educe is to make someone learn something or become better and then be able to use it to apply it to their daily life, to apply it in their environment, and to be able to bring a change to not only themselves but also to the wider community and to the wider welfare of the people in that community. Now, looking at what we have today as an education system, there are so many things that were copied or things that were taught to us by the colonial masters, by the colonizers. And the reason was they did not actually want Africans, including we Ugandans, to think on our feet. They came and taught us that we needed to work for them. So the basic education they left us, the system that they created for us, is one which was actually meant to create employees for the white man. Okay, I'm not going to say the white man, for the colonizers. I don't want people to take offense of being white. But over the years, Africans started realizing that, hey, there are so many things we need to be fighting for. And one of those was the independence of Africa. Unfortunately, we still think that the independence of Africa must be political, where we have MPs, where we have the president who is like us, and we think that's the independence we needed. The biggest system, we forgot that independence should have come in all fronts and in all faces of the requirements that were making our communities. One, it should have come in form of economic independence. Number two, it should have come in form of academic independence, where the syllabus and the things that our children and students are learning are things that actually are concerned about our environment, about our society, about things that are going on in our communities. And this was not observed when you look into this issue. And of course, after independence, so many systems have not been looked into. So many things have not been revised to make sure that what we have is actually workable for our systems. And one of the biggest challenges that the colonizers left us was the fact that they taught us that independence had to be political, and therefore the political heads had to deal with the economics, with the academics, and all these things. And we forgot that actually the political independence that we're seeking for had to get people that were coming from from the academic system whose independence had never been realized. Now, if you look at that, it's like having somebody taking over a certain role, but you know the training ground for this person has been sick. The training ground has so many gaps. It has not addressed the issues. For example, they did not teach us that our own resources are own. The independence came in politics, but did not come with our gold, did not come with our oil, did not come with our banking system, did not come with the trading systems, and therefore they left us an academic system that is only training the basics of working for them, not the basics of using our resources, skilling our people to be able to use our resources and create a better nation. So what do we need to look at as individuals today, as people that are existing in this era? Because look at this. Many times we keep whining, many times we keep crying, many times we keep blaming everyone because the political system has not addressed the issues we need to be addressed. But the biggest problem we have is we've forgotten that the people running the political system are products of a colonized system. A colonized system in banking, a colonized system in economics, a colonized system in academics. And if you want a true independence politically, economically, we must be able to reform the academic sector. And how do we reform that? By looking at things like skilling, by looking at things like setting up institutions that train skilling of individuals, and of course that focus on the resources that we have as a nation. And we can be able to build a model that probably borrows a few things from the models that have been working for some of these colonizers and some of their systems, because we know back home they have a better system than what they left us here. So it doesn't hurt for us to even go ahead and benchmark their system, because you can't benchmark what they left us here. What they left us here was terrible, it was horrible. So in this conversation, it's a conversation that must involve leaders. It's a conversation that must involve every stakeholder. We must have church leaders, we must have chiefs, kings, we must have influential figures in politics. We must sit down and have this dialogue. The academic system we are nurturing today, is it beneficial to our nation? Does it bring us the development that we need? And if it doesn't, what do we need to do? We must be able to look beyond exactly what the colonizers left us and be able to revise it to bring it to our own setting. We must build a model that is workable for us, and that starts from the academic institutions to the courses we teach. Are these courses relevant? Do they actually address the issues that we have as a continent, as a country, as an African people? Where do we have a gap that we need to be addressing? So I want to say this conversation is actually going to continue. This is episode 1. I want to ask you a question in the comment section. What do you think about this topic, and what do you think about these conversations that really truly talk about the academics and how we should be able to free ourselves and create a workforce that is academically independent and that addresses the issues that our communities face? So I want to thank you so much. Thank you for following. Please keep following. This conversation could help another person somewhere, somehow. So I encourage you to share the conversation. I encourage you to come into my inbox. Let's build conversations that are going to help the next generation, conversations that are going to transform the communities where we live, and conversations that are going to impact the future of our country. So thank you so much for watching. My name is maybe Fred, also known as Ugaman. For those of you that do want to follow me, please go on Twitter. I use Ugaman01. On Instagram, I use Ugaman. On LinkedIn, I use maybe Fred. And also feel free to drop me an email at mwbY@gmail.com. I'll see you guys on the next episode, where we'll still be able to talk about probably the setting of the school system, the things that we need to go back and look at, how students are treated, how children enroll into education. And on that day, probably we may be able to have some few guests. I look forward to speaking to people like Fajil Mande, Maggie Kigozi, Dr. Muganga, and quite a number of individuals that I've seen that have a huge interest in the academic sphere, and those that have been struggling to make sure that our academic system becomes one that addresses our issues and that can give us the hope that we're going to build a better future. We're going to build many skilled workers and skilled labor that can be able to deliver using our own resources that we have as a country. So I'll see you guys on the next one. From me to you all, cheers.